But this got full-blown AIDS in 2 days? Impossible, my nigga. Only thing you can think about, normal sense, is a motherfucker was injected with it.
Eazy-E, the godfather of gangsta rap, the man who built Ruthless Records, who gave us N.W.A, who introduced the world to a whole new way of seeing America. To millions, he was a legend. To his peers, he was a hustler, a visionary, a man who never backed down. But to the feds, to the system, he was a problem. And in March 1995, that problem was suddenly gone.
But it's really based on the scandal surrounding his death, which to me was a big conspiracy. And you know, I'm gonna talk to so many people that were in his life. I'm talking from family to business associates, people that worked with him, bodyguards, this and that. You're gonna hear it from the horse's mouth. Everybody's opinion, everybody's knowledge.
The official story says Eric Wright, better known as Eazy-E, died from AIDS-related pneumonia. The story says he got sick, went to the hospital, was diagnosed with HIV, and within a month, he was gone. But from day one, people have whispered that the official story never added up. Too fast, too convenient, too suspicious. And now, years later, his own daughter has come out and said what fans have been whispering for decades, that her father was murdered and the HIV diagnosis was fake.
No, you haven't.
Right, dude had full-blown AIDS and he looked like he regular. He was like, still had his weight, still cocky, still looking like a regular dude, and it just came about all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, he was wrestling with Big Wish, you know what I'm saying? Like, going at it with Big Wish, so the dude was strong, cocky, man, really built like a little tank, you know what I mean? So it's just theories.
That's not a small claim. That's not gossip about who's dating who. That's rewriting hip-hop history. That's saying one of the most important deaths in rap was not natural at all, but a setup, an execution, covered with a medical lie. Let's walk through it. In early 1995, Eazy-E started complaining of a cough. At first, people thought it was just asthma. He'd had it since he was a kid.
Before releasing your album is when Eazy-E passed away, right?
He was never sick, bro. That's the whole point. Like he had bronchitis his whole life, so he always had issues.
With him dying so fast, did you feel like it was like foul play?
Sure. We all, when it first happened, naturally we thinking like, this nigga got a gang of bitches. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, so naturally we was like, damn, it could be. But then when we start, after we buried him and all that, now you replaying everything in your head. You like, hold the fuck up. One of the G homies' sister he been fucking with for all these years, bro. Still was fucking with her. We went and asked her, she don't got it. He just had a baby, the bitch and the baby don't got it.
Personally, I do as well because, even to this day, none of his kids, none of his baby mamas, his mistresses, nobody has came up with HIV or nothing like that. So, just rationally thinking some had to go on.
Yeah, and it's just ironic because I know people can live with HIV for years and look normal and look healthy, but when you're about to die from AIDS, full-blown AIDS, you're gonna look like you're gonna die from AIDS. I've seen people that die from AIDS and they look like they have.
So last time I seen him alive, and so it was cool to be able to finally just get all that shit behind us, you know what I'm saying? And laugh and joke and have drinks and, be talking about shit that happened and get a chance to have that time with him before he passed away.
Man, time does really heal all wounds.
It does.
The official record said Eazy had full-blown AIDS when he was admitted, that the disease had already ravaged his lungs. But his family, they weren't convinced. Some of his children tested negative. His wife, Tamika, tested negative. And the speed of it all made people wonder, how could the man go from healthy to gone in a matter of weeks? That's where the murder theory started.
Got this stuff they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
It was with acupuncture needles that tainted him and gave it to him because he got hurt in Honda Valley on quad runners, and he was riding quads, and what happened was that someone, I won't say the name, but people know the name. I don't want to say that name because it's a devil's name. But, you know, another person in rap, if you know your history of rap, calls him a devil. So if you know your history in rap or West Coast rap, you'll know who I'm saying. But I was told even in the last conversation from Eazy not to even talk to that man. And not only that, but I think that they really had a stronghold of giving him tainted needles with the AIDS virus in them through acupuncture. Because how else could somebody die that fast of AIDS? Have you even heard of somebody dying in 2 weeks of AIDS, bro? Come on, man. This is unheard of, bro. It was like, I'm in the hospital, I contracted the AIDS virus. 2 weeks later, March 26th or whatever, I fall out and I die.
Some people believe Eazy was injected with the virus, that somebody wanted him gone, and the quickest way to do it was to give him HIV artificially. Years later, rapper Frost came forward with a wild story. He said Eazy had been injected with tainted acupuncture needles after a quad bike accident. According to Frost, someone used those needles to infect him deliberately. It sounded like a movie script, but in hip-hop, stranger things have happened. And then came Suge Knight's infamous interview. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, years after Eazy's death, Suge sat there grinning and said something chilling. He joked about people not needing to shoot you anymore. He said all they need is to inject you with something, some AIDS blood. The crowd laughed nervously, but hip-hop heads froze. Was Suge talking about Eazy? Was he admitting something? Or was he just trolling, throwing gas on an old fire? Eazy's daughter Ebie has been digging into this for years. She even started working on a documentary to get to the bottom of what really happened. And now she's gone on record saying straight up, her father was murdered, that the HIV story was fake, that someone wanted him silenced. Think about that. If true, it means the whole narrative, the press conference, the medical charts, the headlines, was a cover-up. It means Eazy didn't just die, he was taken out. But why? Why would anyone want Eazy-E dead? Let's look at the context. In the early 90s, Eazy was in the middle of some of the messiest beef in rap history. He had fallen out with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. Death Row Records was rising, Suge Knight was becoming a monster in the industry, and Eazy was one of the only men standing in his way. He was suing Dre, suing Ruthless Associates, fighting for contracts, fighting for money, fighting for respect. He was also starting to talk about politics, about business moves bigger than music. He wasn't just a rapper anymore, he was a power player. And powerful men make powerful enemies. Some people believe Suge had motive. Eazy had filed lawsuits against Death Row.
So they got this new thing out that people sell them all the time. They got this stuff they call, they get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh, so that seems bad.
That's a slow death.
Yeah.
An Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, no. Okay.
Way to lighten the mood.
Wow. Well, Suge's terror alert level just went from elevated to high.
He had tangled with Suge over contracts. He had refused to back down when others folded. If you believe the theories, Suge had every reason to want him out of the picture. Others point the finger at the government. Remember, N.W.A. had been targeted by the FBI. Their music was labeled dangerous. Their concerts were surveilled. Eazy was one of the loudest voices against police brutality, against the system. And we all know what happens when powerful black voices challenge the system in America. They get silenced. Could the feds have seen Eazy as too much of a threat? Could they have orchestrated his downfall under the cover of a medical crisis? The theory gets even darker when you realize how clean the story looked. AIDS in the 90s was still a taboo, a stigma. It explained away his death neatly. It made people pity him instead of question who might have killed him. It made his death look like fate, not murder. And to this day, that's the story the mainstream accepts. But Ebie and others aren't buying it. They've been vocal that the timeline doesn't make sense, that too many details are fuzzy, that too many questions remain unanswered. Fans point out that Eazy's sexual partners, his kids, his wife, none of them tested positive. Usually, if someone has full-blown AIDS and is still sexually active, there are transmissions. But in this case, nothing. People use that as evidence that the HIV story was false, that the virus wasn't even real. Doctors have pushed back saying HIV doesn't always transmit, that it can lie dormant, that everyone's body responds differently. But in the culture, that medical talk doesn't erase the suspicion, because the way it looked, the way it felt, was too fast, too neat, too convenient. And that's why decades later, people are still debating it. Now let's talk about impact. If Eazy really was murdered, it changes everything. It means the story of N.W.A. isn't just about a group that rose and fell. It's about a man who was taken out because he was too strong, too independent, too defiant. It means the hip-hop industry was manipulated at one of its most critical points. It means the rise of Death Row, the dominance of Dre and Snoop, the whole West Coast empire of the mid-90s. All of it came at the cost of a man's life. That's why fans don't let this story die. Because Eazy's death doesn't just feel like a tragedy. It feels like a robbery. Like we were robbed of more albums, more moves, more history. Like hip-hop was robbed of one of its greatest pioneers, taken out before his time. And the way his daughter is now confirming the murder theory gives it new energy. It's not just fans on the internet anymore. It's blood, it's family, it's the people who lived it. That carries weight. When your own child says, "My father didn't just die, he was killed," the world listens. Of course, not everybody agrees. Some still say it was just bad luck, just a cruel twist of fate. They say the medical records are real, that Eazy contracted HIV like anyone else could, that his death wasn't a conspiracy, but a disease. They point out that conspiracies often fill the void when tragedies don't make sense. But whether you believe the murder theory or not, one thing is undeniable. Eazy-E's death changed hip-hop forever. It shifted power, it shifted labels, it shifted the sound, and decades later, it still haunts the culture. That's why this video is going viral, because it's not just rehashing an old death, it's reopening the case. It's saying the official story was a lie. The truth is darker. And we're ready to talk about it. The internet, of course, is going crazy. Memes about Eazy was murdered, threads debating who could have done it, TikToks breaking down Suge Knight's interview word by word, old interviews being dug up, dissected, rewatched for clues, fans debating in the comments, some saying it's obvious Eazy was taken out, others saying people just don't want to accept that HIV killed a legend. And in the middle of all this, Eazy's legacy keeps growing, because whether you think he died of AIDS or was murdered, you can't deny his impact. You can't deny that he was a pioneer, that he gave us one of the most important movements in music, that he shaped the world's understanding of gangsta rap. But the murder theory keeps his name alive in a different way. It keeps him as a martyr, a man who didn't just die, but who was silenced, a man who was too real for the system to handle, a man whose death is still unsolved, still mysterious, still debated. And maybe that's why the theory won't die, because it gives Eazy's death meaning beyond disease. It makes it a story of betrayal, of corruption, of conspiracy. And in a culture that has always mistrusted the system, that story feels believable. So what do you think? Was Eazy-E really murdered? Was the HIV diagnosis a fake cover story? Or was it just a tragic case of bad luck, a disease that struck down a legend too soon? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because stories like this never end. The truth keeps coming out piece by piece. And the culture never forgets.